Good evening, everyone. I will have to, at some point, it's very clear to me, come up with a better, what's the word for it? A better setup than I currently have. Because it's not the quickest thing to get this thing up and running. Copy 8 friggin' links, too. So I just got to work it out. So whatever. I still want to do a little bit of drawing tonight, which I'm going to do as soon as I can figure out how to, send out notifications. Doodle time. There we go. And paste that. I do get very annoyed, I must admit, by the fact that things like to try to anticipate when you're on a mobile device and they have to put an M in front of something or whatever. It's really stupid. Bugs me. And so, yeah. So I'm jumping around. Oh, that's okay. Actually, can't see that yet. I was going to say my iPad just went to sleep, which means I'll have to wake it back up, which is really stupid. I could set it to not go to sleep. The problem with that is if I do that, then it will, what's the word for it? It will, I've lost all power of speech. I'll forget to take it off of sleep. And then my battery will just go straight down the tubes. So let me wake it back up. Okay, it looks like it held everything. All right, let's go ahead and play my little animation and see if that destroys Twitch Studio, which it probably will, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Da-da-da-da-da. Hey, okay. So far, so good. Maybe. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, there's a little bit of a lag to it, but that's okay. Honestly, I had all these ideas for, I could make this opening thing, and I'll do all this and this and this. And I realized how long it was going to take me, so I just went, and I'll be honest, most of this stuff is just modified assets. I'm not going to pretend, everybody. I'm not putting on airs or anything like that. I found this stuff, and I just modified it to be what I want it to be. So, the thing I can't remember is if I actually made it 45 seconds or not. So we'll see on the fade out, because there's a countdown, right? So we'll see in a minute if, in fact, I know what I'm doing. So will it fade out at the 45 mark? Hey, look at that. Faded out. All right. Okay, so there we go. All right. Hopefully you all can see this. The whole one-person viewing. All right. So anyway, you know what? I should. Yeah, let me text Lando. Actually, you know what? I think his kids were more bewildered by my drawing than entertained by it. They seem to like Jaws better, which I understand. So here we have our blob that we left off with last time. So what are we going to do with the blob? Let's think about this. I got to switch because I've been bouncing between pens like a madman. So what layer are we on here? Okay, that's the eye layer. So that's the eyeballs. Oh, good. Look at that. I actually labeled it. So we'll put above, this is the sketch layer, yeah. Put above that, we're going to put a black layer. Or, I shouldn't call it black layer because I don't know what it's going to be. But in any event, let's switch to true black. Okay. Now let's check our, oh no, that weight is all wrong. Okay, so, all right, let's think about this. Because you want to have different weights for what you're representing. So, let me see, what weight am I at here? Am I at 3? No, 3 is here. Let's see what 3 looks like. Okay, 3's not bad. Let's use 3. Let's do some detail work here. Let's think about this. So I think what I'm going to do is I was going back and forth on what I wanted the eye pockets, the eye, whatever, sockets, what the eye sockets were going to be. And I was going back and forth. I can actually show you. I had the thought, okay, do I want them to be like encapsulated, like in the fleshy molds like this, where you would see it, right? So that was one idea that I had. Or the other one that I've done on one other drawing before, and I kind of liked it, was this idea that the eyes are kind of in these pulled areas. I don't know how else to describe it. Something like this, where the fleshy parts are actually kind of folded away. You know what I mean? Like that. So they're exposed. So this outside part, what I'll use with the X there, that is kind of the outside skin. And then you're going to hear my dog in the background because she's squeaking things. And then the eyes would be in some kind of internal, like thing like this, where it would, like be pulsating and actually, yeah, it's not bad looking. I mean, I'm not going to keep it that way because the pockets aren't right. But something like this. So it's something like this versus something like this where the eyes were kind of emerging from pockets, but I don't really like that. It just doesn't seem as creepy to me when it looks like the eyes are trapped. It makes them almost seem sympathetic. So I think the route I'm going to go is with this kind of this cutout or this, emerging pocket type of thing. I don't really know how to describe it besides that. So let me take all this stuff out because I want to try to determine. I want to do a little bit more planned than that. So what I think I'll do is, let's see. Let me think about this. Because there's another way you can do that pocket too, which is kind of like a folded pocket. It's almost like a combination. So I can almost do some kind of combination thing where the no, not like that's too angry. Oh, actually, you know what? No, that kind of looked like a droopy eye, so maybe that wouldn't be bad. So do stuff like this, where the pocket is kind of on itself, sort of. So you're kind of getting the both effect there, where this is a pocket that lives, that the eyeball is inside and the skin is peeled back, but I don't want it to look pulled. The pulled thing just reminds me of Mojo from X-Men, which I love Mojo, don't get me wrong. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, hold on. Just something occurred to me. I want a heavier weight for the pocket. So we bump up to 5. Yeah, which is probably the same weight as the actual eye itself. Okay, what are we? 2 layers, 1 layer. Okay. So we make these kind of foldy, bulgy pockets here. I still want to use that droopy effect for that one. Which, yeah, you know what? If I'm going to do a droop, then I should probably do something like that. Then shoot out a second layer. And then have it folding like this and kind of bulge that way. And this we could just bulge like, not that foldy like that. And then same as before, what we do is come in and I decide which one is the superior layer, to use for lack of a better term. I'm going to stick with this. What I'll do is I'll erase that. Oh, no, okay, that's way, oh yeah, it's because I'm on a paint eraser. We could probably use this pen. Yeah, that'll work. See, and we just come in, and that establishes which of the sides you want to be kind of, quote-unquote, the dominant one. And there's your pocket. See? Now, we'll fill in all the stuff inside. So eventually we'll get to where there's, that's where I'll go to a smaller weight. And I don't quite know what I'm going to do with that yet. But I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. So let's stick with what we're doing. So we'll jump to this layer. And we'll do one of the smaller eyes. And one of the... I'm on the eraser. On the smaller eyes, I think I'm going to keep it a little more simple, where I'm just going to have like a dual pocket. I'm calling these pockets because I don't have a better term for it, but like a little cutout in the actual eye. So I can just do these. I could do the first one of them, put that there. Let's see, and we'll do another one here. You know what I forgot to do? Give me a second here. Bear with me, everyone. On the off chance anybody cares here. By the way, I just watched... Wow, that's funny. Sorry, I was looking at... problem with opening Twitter is you look at things on Twitter. Anyway, I can stop looking. And I have. So, what was I just saying? So I watched the pilot episode. Or first, I guess it wouldn't be a pilot, because pilots don't really exist anymore, do they? They don't really. Because everything now is like a series order. So do pilots even... I'm sure okay, I shouldn't say it like it's a blanket statement. Of course pilots exist for network television, although, how long that'll last, who knows. Although a lot of those go to series order too, without really much of any kind of testing or anything like that. So even pilots in network television might be going away, who knows. But in any event, I watched the first episode of the new Star Trek series, the Strange New World series. I liked it. I mean, it's a typical first episode where it's a lot of character building and layout, getting an idea of the crew and everything. The only weird part about it is I got my prescription updated because my eyes are terrible. Actually, although mysteriously my left eye got better, whereas my right eye, which is it's so much worse than my left eye. got worse. No surprise. I knew that. I could tell that. Looking at things, I knew my right eye was off. And so I wasn't surprised by that. But what I didn't realize was the optometrist. Sorry, I almost said ophthalmologist. I know that's something else. But the optometrist, when I was talking to her, she said, yeah, I kind of held off on... Oh, I forgot I have to... sorry, let me get that eye really quick. This little eye has to get... This one I intentionally had cut off a little bit, so I have to make sure. Is there any... I thought I did one other one like that, where it was kind of cut off. Yeah, right there. So she had said that she had held off on making my distance vision as sharp as it could be, because she said, that there's going to be a point where you're going to basically need bifocals, as if I needed something else as a reminder of age, as if my general cantankerous, which is not a word, but it's my word for cantankerous as a thing, as if my general disdain for things was not evidence enough that I was terminally aged. But yeah, at some point I'll need bifocals, which I really don't care about. I think some people get bothered by that, but I don't. So I said, no, give me the sharpness. I want to be able to, I've never really, or I shouldn't say never. Never is a big term. It has been quite a while since I have had what would be charitably described as good vision, where I could look at something and see it with clarity. I just up close I can. I can't see. I would say my vision starts to blur at the middle of my arm. If I hold my arm straight out, the crook of my elbow, that's where my eyesight starts to fail. So past that, it has been years and years and years, and I didn't realize it's because the optometrist, she was trying to balance the far vision with the near vision so that when I had glasses or contacts, I wouldn't feel the need to hold things away from me. But honestly, I always kind of did that anyway, because I don't know. I've always had this natural inclination to hold things I'm reading or whatever a bit of a distance. Not far, not a ways away, but, not right on top of it. So it's funny because she was doing something that honestly I was already kind of countermanding with the way I was behaving anyway. Maybe that's why my eyesight was so bad, is because I was sort of acting in contradiction to what she had done. But she never mentioned it, so I didn't really think about it. It's not a criticism, it's just kind of a funny thing, because I'm sitting here going, oh, I've been doing something that would be considered the opposite of that anyway. I just realized, I don't know where the, I guess it's okay. No, I would see it here. That's fine. It doesn't matter. This isn't as important as the gameplay one, where I was going to, because the chat window is there. I can see it if anybody were to say anything, but I don't think anybody has. I'm only showing one person. So hello, one person, whoever it is. Where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. So my vision has been terrible for years now. And I mean, it's been 2 years since I've gotten my last prescription. And at least the one before that, which was 2 more years, so 4, 5, 6, 7 years, it's been that I haven't had really clear distance vision. So, I watched the new Star Trek, which is, in Dolby Vision or whatever. So it's in, it's in ultra super high depth, whatever. Nice colors. And man, it's funny because I really noticed the CG, which I probably would have noticed anyway. Don't get me wrong. I would have seen it because, I know they're not using miniatures and models anymore, which is one of those things I just kind of have accepted. That's how it is now. Everything is like that, which is not necessarily bad, but, I just miss the heft, the physical nature of like the old Enterprise models and the old Bird of Prey, which, you can, said this before, the mind can tell. The mind can tell. So, but I really liked it. I have to admit, it was, a lot of people have talked about it, the fact that this was trying to do the more episodic Trek, the older style Trek, and it really does feel that way, where it is the more classic model of, what the original series and then the Next Generation did, and DS9 for a while before although DS9, I've been rewatching DS9 as well. And it's funny because I get the sense I have this quote unquote epiphany, which you can't really call it if it's just something that you already realized and you forgot. But I have this reminder of a realization every time that the Dominion is there way earlier than I always think it is. I always just kind of sit there and go, yeah, the Dominion will be here in a little while, but that's not till like season 3. No, Dominion's there in season. I don't know if it's in season 1. I think it's season 2. I think it's very early in season 2. that there's a thing where they talk about the Dominion. You don't see them or anything like that. You're not aware of what they are, but you're very clearly getting the impression that they are going to be something important. I mean, obviously, you don't. When the show was on, I'm sure nobody understood what that was going to lead. The writers, but nobody in the audience, necessarily understood what the Dominion would come to represent in terms of a villain and an overall enemy for that series. But yeah, they're really early, and I always seem to forget that. I don't like that. I don't mind that droop, but it has to be different than that. It can't be the same as that. Okay, I'm looking around here because I got to find the ones that I missed. Yeah, these look very disjointed and jangly at the moment, but they won't once I get everything in place. Let's have that have a bit of a droop. Make that one a little tighter. We'll bring that up, and we'll do something like that. Okay, what do we have? One left? One left? No, two left. Two left that do not have any type. No, three. I'm sorry, three left. Let's start from the left. Let's go from the left. Have that one run kind of quote unquote off the page. Not that there really is a page, but we're pretending. We're pretending. I don't know, maybe is it just no three? There's the third one. Let's see. Let's have this one swoop off like that up high. We'll bring this around. There we go. So yeah, I like Strange New Worlds. I'm not. Unfortunately, Picard has just made me now jaded towards this stuff where I sit here and go, don't get too excited because it could go right into the pit in no time. But I'm trying. I like Anson Mount a lot. I think he's a really good captain. I think his Pike is really good. I like him a lot. I've not that I go by interviews or anything like that because that's all just marketing fluff, but I like some of the stuff he's talked about with what they're trying to do sounds positive. If they can stick to it. That's the problem is always with these types of things that you have to see if they're actually going to stick to it, because you could do almost even the worst shows. Well, maybe not all of them, but many of even the worst shows can have good episodes, right? And even good, there have been many shows that have started off very strong and then gotten very weak very quickly. So I want this show to be because look, Trek's never going to be what people want it to be. Some of the older fans are simply never going to be happy with Trek until it's essentially a copy of what it was. And those people are they're never going to accept anything that doesn't immediately remind them of the older stuff. Star Wars has the same problem. I mean, we've seen this. I've talked about this before, so I don't want to make this into a complete repeat of things I've said a bunch of times. But, that Star Trek is the same thing. It's people, audiences change, tastes change. And I think people forget that some of the danger is to be too close to the original. You can go too far in the other direction. You can. You can be too much of a departure. You can suddenly lose some of the stuff that made that established the audience in the first part. So you don't want to have a show that's completely alien. But at the same time, I've read opinions by people who vehemently despise Deep Space Nine because it's quote unquote a war show. And honestly, I sympathize with that to a degree, because I don't exactly love watching stuff that has a lot of conflict and death and everything too. It's not really my, favorite thing either. But I think Deep Space Nine did a really good job of, the series in general, the concept, maybe, needed a bit of stretching. And I really wish that Voyager had done more with that too. Voyager played with the concept early on of, okay, what happens to your ideals when you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you are literally trying to survive. And then it just kind of forgot it. And I would be very curious what went on with that show. I haven't really done any research, so maybe there's a lot of material out there that covers how that show lost its way so massively, because, as I said, and Voyager is not a bad show. I don't get on board that train. I don't think Voyager's bad. I think Voyager is actually a show that has many very good episodes. More than a few very good episodes. It just kind of, it changed what it was. And when it was getting away from what made it unique, which was that we are cut off, and they abandoned the Maquis thing really quickly, where there was definitely this at least allusion to the fact that you were almost going to have to, everybody was going to have to be careful because the Maquis, how are you supposed to pronounce it? I never get it right. I think it's the Maquis. That essentially you had people who were anti-Federation that were going to be on board the ship. And so that would have been an interesting idea. It would have potentially given the show some narrative, new places, strange new worlds to explore, literally. And it just never coalesced around anything. And I don't really know why. Like I said, I've never really read much on the making. If they did a document, actually, I don't know if they are making a documentary on it. They might be making one on Voyager. I would watch it. I'd be curious what because this many years removed from it, you would think that there would probably be some candor about it, and they might say, well, this is why this really, or maybe it was an audience thing. Maybe the audience was abandoning the show really quickly. I have no idea. But Voyager is more of a failed experiment than a bad show, I would say. I've watched it a few times, the series, and I think it does a lot of things that are interesting. And then, unfortunately, there are times where it just decides not to do things that are interesting. It really just kind of veers off. And I don't know why. So we'll see what Strange New Worlds ends up being. I want it to be... Let me just do this. I want it to be really good. I really do. And I'm going to stick with it as long as it is good. I mean, it's going to be the Picard thing. I stuck with Picard when it was good. And then when it wasn't, I said, gotta go, Picard, sorry. And gave up. Which is, I'm not going to relitigate that because I've already talked about that. Which is a shame. Because I like Patrick Stewart. And I think he's a good actor. And I really don't know lost my ability to speak again. I really don't know what went on. There we have it. I really don't know what went on with that show. I like... Oh, oops, I'm on the wrong layer. I was on the right layer. Like Voyager, perhaps someday we will get some kind of explanation onto what they were doing with Picard. Because boy. And it could be a very... Where do I want that to be? Yeah, we're going to stick with that. We're going to go with the bigger, longer folds here. It could very well be that the reaction to Discovery, which I would say was largely positive, at least, most people seem to like the first couple seasons anyway, particularly the second season. Second season, I think most people agree, is extremely good. And maybe they misread that to say, okay, people want all Star Trek to be this type of thing, because I don't know. It's odd how Picard has, it definitely got incrementally better in season 2. It did not feel as bad off the bat. Wrong one. But it very quickly lost its way again. For me, anyway. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people are. I don't know. It doesn't. I haven't seen a lot of positive reaction to it, which is a shame. I don't like that. I mean, not that I don't like the criticism is warranted. It's not me saying that people shouldn't be critical of it. I just don't like the fact that it couldn't pull it off the second time. Because, I'll forgive a weak season. Star Trek is almost, it's almost kind of a rite of passage to have a weak season with Star Trek. Almost every series did have a first weak season. Although when people say that about DS9, I find that to be a weird... I don't find DS9's first season to be as weak as I keep thinking it will be when I go into it. Every time I revisit it, I'm sort of amazed at how unweak that first season is. A lot of the characters are very well established. I always forget, too, that it's so Quark-heavy. I really do. I never remember that it's so Quark-heavy. And Odo, which is fine. Odo is such a fantastic creation that I do not mind that it is a very Quark-heavy, Odo-heavy show for a while. And I guess since his direct dynamic with Quark is kind of one of the defining things, it makes sense that Quark's in it a lot, too. I'm kind of curious about that there is a documentary on DS9, so I do have to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. It's What We Left Behind. I do want to watch that though because I am interested in that. I mean, there's really no part of Trek. This is what's funny because I'm not big on the original series. Not really. It's fine. I've watched episodes of it a few times, but there's never going to be a point where I sit down and say, yeah, I'm going to watch the entirety of the original series. I just won't. It just doesn't appeal to me that way. Something about it just doesn't work. It's not necessarily the age, because the episodes that I like perfectly fine. It's just something about it. I don't know. Doesn't grab me the way the newer stuff does. Even the remastered ones, which in fairness, look fantastic. They really look good. But it's where was I going with the original series thing? I don't remember now. I don't know. I was going somewhere with that, but so yeah, we'll see. I really hope Strange New Worlds can maintain this kind of classic Trek. Oh, I did miss some. I knew I missed some. I knew I missed some somewhere. Let's go get those. Let's go get that in there, and I'll just do that rather than have to erase. Okay. So yeah, I hope it can keep the momentum it's got. I mean, it's tough to go by first episode because you really don't know. So we'll see. But I don't want these things to be bad. I didn't want to not like Picard. I wanted to like Picard. I that it's just, why wouldn't you? This is one other thing too is, I think sometimes people are like, oh, you just want to hate stuff. It's like, no, I don't. I mean, I'm sure there are some people. Hate watching is a thing, which I will never understand, but it's a thing. Which is not the same as liking bad movies and laughing at them. That's something else. It's a different thing. I missed one there too. Let's go ahead and we'll just do this one nice and easy, and we'll just do whoop whoop. There we go. But I don't want to dislike things. I don't want to watch something and go, aha, you suck. I don't want to do that. That's not fun to me. So I wanted Picard to be good. I wanted to like this stuff. So it just let me down. Because it would have been great to have Patrick Stewart come back, to a role that people loved him in, and it worked really well, and everybody had a great time, and it'd be one of those things where you're like, you see, somebody can come back and they can take that material and they can do something new with it and it can be successful, and that's just great. And instead, it's what it is. Yeah. Okay, well, we got our eyes established. What I'm going to do now is, actually I should have done this in eyeballs, and I will, so I'm going to take this layer, I'm going to move her up. I'm going to do one more little thing. I'm going to make this is going to be a short stream tonight, because I'll say my hand's cramping up. Happens sometimes. When I'm doing certain types of work, my hand will go on me quick. But what we will do is we'll do quick little eye bubble definitions here, just to, we'll do these, and then we'll call it a stream or whatever you want to say. But, so yeah, I would say, I mean, I almost didn't watch Strange New Worlds. I almost held off on it because there was a part of me that's hesitant. It's like, yeah, you know what? That first one might be good, but who knows what the rest will be? And it's a valid concern. So I don't blame anybody who says, because I often say this. I often say, well, I'll wait till it's done. But man, I just liked Anson Mount in that role so much. I thought he was so good as Pike in Discovery that I had no doubt that his performance would be what it is. So that is very happy to say that part, no problems. As expected, he's good in it, and I'm not surprised by that. It just occurred to me. These eye bubbles are all wrong. I just realized because the light source is down. So I just wasted my time with all those. So, you know what? I'm going to wrap it up here just because my hand is really cramping. So next time we'll go in and we'll do the eye bubbles and we'll start doing some detail work inside those eye pockets. But you know what? Not bad. It's getting there. I don't know what it's going to be, as I never do. But that's the nice part about just doing something like this, something where I don't really have a plan. Very loose sketch. Just do what comes along, and we'll see where it goes. This will be an evolving piece. I don't mind doing stuff like this. And I have a nice background and an opening now, so yay. Anyway, hope you all are having a nice Thursday. Thanks for stopping by for a little 30 minutes of the old doodle-aroo, whatever. Why do I bother? And yeah, we will talk to you on the next stream. Hope you all have. I probably won't do one before the weekend. I probably won't do one on the weekend, I don't think. So have a nice weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you again next week. All right. Take care, everybody.